I'm Andrew Sherman. I'm a Texas transplant who has always been in pursuit of art as a career. I've played in bands, pursued an acting career in Hollywood, but I found it behind the lens of a camera here in Dallas, Texas. I was born in New York, I've lived in Chicago, Los Angeles, Austin, but I love Dallas. There's a magical artistic scene in Dallas that mostly goes unnoticed to the outside world. This podcast is focused on what makes it so special and the people who make it thrive artistically. If you don't live here, and even if you do, you might not have heard of them. This is the Dallas Famous Podcast.
There's a place that I like to go where the sun sets fast and the night moves slow. A frame of mind and a frequency where the rhythm of life flows naturally.
This week on the Dallas Famous Podcast, we're excited to feature Jon Figueroa, the guitarist and vocalist of Midnight 30, a DFW-based rock trio known for their dynamic performances playing good old-fashioned rock and roll. Beyond his work with Midnight 30, Jon plays guitar for Remy Reilly and is about to start exploring his own solo project. Known for his engaging personality and sense of humor, Jon brings a unique energy to every project he undertakes. Join us as we dive into his journey, the band's evolution, and what's next. Here it is. Okay, we are back at the Deep Ellum Community Center. We've got Jon Figueroa.
Hello.
He's the guitar player for Midnight 30, and he plays in Remy Reilly. He's filled in a bunch of other bands. Like you were in King Glam, like on and off a little bit.
For a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But not in it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been on. So let's do this like old school. Let's start at the beginning. Where are you from?
I was born in Queens, New York.
You were born in the Queens. Okay,
Yeah.
I was born in the Bronx.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, didn't know that about
We
you.
moved when I was 3 or 4, so I
Okay.
don't remember much. I remember being in a stroller in Central Park. That's like as much New York as I remember.
You remember that though?
Yeah, I don't say coffee or hot dog.
you emulate it well. Where did you grow up?
My parents divorced when I was about 3, and my mom remarried to my now dad, which we just call him Dad. And we moved into a house he built in Louisville when I was about 5 years old.
Oh, okay. So you're Texan essentially.
Essentially, but we moved around a lot because of his job. So we lived in Louisville until I was about 6, and then we moved to Oklahoma, lived there for 5 years. Then we moved to upstate New York. We lived in Rome.
Huh.
Usually when I say Rome, New York, people are like, Rome, Italy.
Yeah, no, that's where Woodstock was.
Exactly.
I played Woodstock in that city.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
After that, we lived there for like 2 years, and then I lived in Leander, moved to, it's like a suburb just an hour north of Austin.
Uh-huh.
We were there for about 3 years, and then I've been up here in DFW ever since.
Okay. So all your high school was up here.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
When did you pick up a guitar first?
It was in New York. I played piano first, and I was like 5 years old. My stepdad, his father had lived in a house in Kansas, and my grandmother had this old organ, which I still have in my house. And you plug it into the wall, you turn it on, and it blows air through tubes, and then you just press keys to release it. And like I was playing chords and like learning it. But when I started playing guitar, I was in New York. I think I was like 12 years old. And my brother had this like real shitty electric guitar that he never wanted me to play. And so whenever he'd leave to go skateboard with his friends, I would play it. And it kind of just started from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he take it seriously, or he's
No, not at all.
Yeah.
For him, it was just like something that was cool to have.
Right.
You know, I think it was like a $50 like
Right.
pawn shop guitar. I couldn't tell you the brand.
Was your motivation that just he didn't want you to do it, or is it more than that?
No, I was obsessed. Like
okay.
I've been. That's like the only thing I ever think about is like like chords and how they work and like how it can connect to another chord, and like it's just an obsession.
Wow.
with music, and probably a lot of people, but
No,
yeah.
I never heard it said like that. I mean,
Yeah.
But like, well, so then did you like pursue that? Like, were you going to like lessons or classes, or
No.
just all self-taught?
It was all self-taught. Like I had, like many musicians, I got into the Beatles pretty early. I was like, when I started playing guitar, I think it was like when I was 13 or 14, I started listening to like old Beatles records and just like learning the structure and learning that a lot of them were similar, just in different keys, and then learning what keys are and learning chord progressions and like the number system and that sort of thing. I started, I was a church boy. So when I moved to Leander, there was this like youth group I used to go to, and they needed a piano player, and like fucking bullshitted it. I was like, I can play for sure. You have one? I got it. Cool. And like didn't know what the hell I was doing, but like they thought I played piano. So like every week and then every Wednesday, and then it was every Sunday, and then between there I was at home. We got a piano at the house, and it's just an obsession thing, you know. I didn't really like, I hung out with friends. I wasn't like a loner, but like whenever I had free time, it was I wanted to be better. So
interesting.
Yeah.
And then like what kind of music were you listening to at that early age?
Oh, the huge, you know, like The Who and the Rolling Stones and like and Led Zeppelin, mostly the Beatles, just because like they had such a discography. I mean, I know they've been talked about so many times. Yeah, but it really is like a valuable foundation to understand music and rock music specifically. Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, they started out in like the quintessential classic rock and roll era of like influences from like Elvis and like the 50s, and like, you know, through their experience that the genre changed. You know, it's not like it went into like a funky feel, it went into like a more jazzy feel, and like I don't know, a lot of my foundation for how I play guitar now is a lot of the Beatles, and then it went into like Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, so. No, I mean it makes sense to me. I think that's kind of what I did too. I mean, maybe not at the early age, but I mean, I was getting into bare metal when I was really young. But what was your first like band situation? I mean, I know you played in church, but like, when was the first time where you're like, let's get together and do this ourselves?
It was, it really wasn't until like besides church, I really didn't do anything. I had like real strict parents, which like, love them, bless them. You know what I mean? Kept me out of some dumb shit.
Yeah.
But the first time I actually did anything besides church was with Hazen.
Hazen Hunter.
Hazen Hunter, bass player of Midnight 30. He's been like my best friend for almost 20 years.
So that's the first time you were doing like church stuff?
Yeah, like secular, I guess you could say. Yeah. Like that word. We would play coffee shops in like Roanoke and like North Fort Worth. A lot of them like don't even exist. I couldn't tell you their names. Like
was he playing like acoustic, or was he playing bass back then?
We were both playing acoustic.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Not to divert your story, but like hearing him play his solo stuff for the first time was both amazing and so depressing, but like so authentic. Like, I mean, depressing because of the tone he sets, not because he's bad. Like, he's amazing. Yeah. But like it was wild to see, and like, cause you know, I've known him as the bass player and I've heard him sing, but it's all, you know, it's now Midnight 30 music, and that was like a departure for me.
I like what he's doing, and I got your point when you were saying depressing, you know, because that's like kind of like some of the songs he's written is like trying to evoke that emotion. Yeah. You know what I mean? Especially with like Blackberry Blues. He's nailing it. Which I fucking love that song. Yeah. We actually did a show last night over at Bartonville's store. It was really, really cool. We did a lot of his original stuff.
Are you mixing more of that into the band? Or not so much?
I think that's like a potential, but Midnight 30 is just so hot and loud, and
it's a specific,
you know, it's like lead bricks on the kick pedal, you know what I mean, like that sort of thing. So
okay, so anyway, so you guys are playing coffee houses.
Yeah, we're playing coffee houses, and then, you know, that was like coming of age personally for me. You know, it was like the first time I like, you know, I was quote unquote like good kid, you know. I didn't disobey my parents, you know. Like if they said I couldn't go anywhere, I'm not going to sneak out, you know what I mean. Like that's just more time for me to play guitar in my bedroom or play piano in my bedroom and just learn. Countless nights for many years it was late night with Jimmy Fallon, low volume, while I practiced the pentatonic scale and like understood something about it. And then it was Conan on the Tonight Show, and then it was well, first it was Jay Leno, and then it was Conan for 7 months, and then it was Jay Leno again, and then, trust me, I know all about that drama.
That was a good movie, by
over playing guitar. But what was your question again?
I'm just getting history, you know, like you're playing with the Hazen.
I got into like, I started working, and then, you know, it's that's what I was saying, coming of age. I started working a lot. I started smoking a bunch of weed. I started hanging out, and I was just trying to figure out, like, I know I've been obsessed with this. I know I like playing music, but also like, is it something that's gonna pay money, right? And like hindsight's 2020. Of course it's not. You do it for the love of the game. But like, it was. I had like 5-6 years of like just kind of floating through life and like girlfriends and breaking up with girlfriends and like friendships and doing drugs with people and trying mushrooms and like opening up my mind. And Hazen moved into a cabin in Roanoke. Well, I guess like it was like just south of Roanoke on this guy's property of land. He had like 50 or 70 acres of land. And it was this shitty fucking cabin. And he was in there, and this was kind of like some of the starts of his solo like songs that he's written. And I was like, dude, this would be a great place to like record stuff and like write together. And sure enough, we did. And, you know, we were drinking whiskey all the time. And like, he really liked rye. I hated rye, but my mom didn't raise a bitch. And, you know, we were smoking weed, drinking whiskey, smoking weed, writing music, doing mushrooms. And it reached a point where we're like, we either have to make a band or like, I remember Hazen telling me, he was like, dude, I kind of want to be a ranch hand in Montana. You know what I mean? And I was like, I still have a job. So like, either like we're going to do something or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I could see him doing that.
Yeah. Dude, of course.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I think we need a drummer. We didn't even figure out who was going to play bass yet. We both just played guitar. We had a shitty drum kit that I'd pieced together, and we tried out a few different drummers that were friends of ours, and amazing people, great drummers, just didn't fit.
Yeah.
You know, and then Cade comes into the picture. He was friends. It's such a, like, I know this person through this person. Cade is friends with one of the friends of Hazen's little brother, Hudson.
I don't think I met his brother. Okay.
He's got two brothers.
Okay.
They're rowdy sons of bitches.
Well, I know his dad, so that's not surprising.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah.
And Cade heard about us, and Cade had always played the drums. And he'd heard that like we're playing music together, and he'd just been bugging like Hudson or like Hazen to like just come over and jam with us. And like I think a few weeks before we had him come over to jam, Hazen and I were at Guitar Center, and I was like, I'm gonna buy a bass. And he was like, okay. I was like, okay. And I don't know the conversation of who decided they were gonna play bass or not, because we both played guitar. But Hazen started playing bass. I don't want to misquote. I remember things wrong sometimes, so that's a gray area.
Does he play lead guitar much?
Where I was like super into just like, I didn't give a fuck about tone for the longest time. Like I was just like, am I playing good? Like he was into playing good and also into gear. So like a lot of like the foundation of like what I understand about tone is from him, because you know like his dad had been into that since he was a kid, and like my parents didn't.
Right.
My dad worked all day. My mom worked all day. Like when they got home, like my dad drank a beer and watched TV. You know, like we a lot of it was just like whatever. But yeah, he I would say he played lead guitar. He did the church route too. He played lead guitar in churches. But yeah, I bought a P bass, and you know, a few weeks later, Cade comes over, and like the first day it clicked. You know, like no matter what we threw at him, like he just, it was like a missing piece. Yeah. You know, like your other half, you found her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can hear that still, but yeah.
Yeah, it was really like, kind of like Bob Dylan talks about like him writing songs in the 60s about like how he doesn't know how he did it. It was all just magical. It came in a dream. It was like that. It was that feeling. And there we were ever since.
Yeah. I do want to take a second to tell our audience that I freaking love your band. You guys, I first ran into you at my open mic at Deep Elm Art Company, and then you became everyone's favorite. Like you were like getting hired for gigs there and Time to Fly and all that. And then I just saw you. Well, I mean, I guess it's not just. It was a summer already.
Yeah.
that show, I remember because I'm working and I'm not paying attention, and like every time I stopped paying attention, it would bring me back in, and that doesn't really happen that much. And so, yeah, I mean,
Sweet.
I love you guys anyway, but I just have to say that if you haven't seen this band live, I mean, you're very soon going to be able to hear them without leaving your house, but like up until now that hasn't been a thing. Let's talk about that for a second. You like got some recordings done.
Like currently, we finally got to a point where like we recorded. We've been performing these like 10 or 12 songs for the past like 5 years, and we had attempted recording, and you know, as you know, like it's tough because like when you play on stage, it sounds awesome because like you're in that moment and it stays there, you know. But you know, and when you play another show, that feeling and that performance stays there. But like when it comes to recording, it's like that's going to be there forever. And so we've had a lot of like, you know, when you hear yourself in the headphones, like it's a come to Jesus, like you have a huge mirror in front of you. It's like, oh shit, like this is what you actually sound like. And it's been a tough, grueling process.
When did you first like try to record something? How long ago was that where you were like, this isn't ready? Or
we recorded when we were still Mahogany.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's what we should say. You were Mahogany. Were you Cabin Salad officially, or was that...
The album was called Cabin Salad.
Cabin Salad.
We wanted to be Cabin Salad. It was so dumb.
I'm glad you're not.
I am so glad too. We thought it was so cool at the
time. Well, you're in the cabin and there's no one around to tell you it's not cool.
Yeah, when you're on mushrooms and doing DMT, it sounds great. It's like it's not sticking it to the lizard people.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Not that the Dallas Famous podcast advocates any of that, but
we were smoking cigarettes and that's it.
Yeah, crazy cigarettes.
Yeah, when we were still Mahogany, I think it was 6 months into us because we were just like all hot and bothered. We recorded an album over at I forget the record company. Fuck, they're gonna hate that I forgot it.
Well, we never put it out though, right?
It was in Arlington. Spider Pop Records.
Okay.
A friend of mine's dad, you know, got us in because he worked there, and it was like, okay, cool, right on. And we recorded it in 3 days. I got the flu the first day. I like was so sick that I had to stop and take a nap for like an hour on the side of the road, then drive home. Came back the next day. I was on, you know, half a bottle of Dayquil. Somehow got the vocals done, and they sound great. And that was our first attempt. And like, again, at the time, we were just so hot and bothered in our brains that like, yeah, we just recorded it. It's out. Listen to it. And like, didn't really have any intention with it. We just like recorded the songs, put it on the internet, you know, which like to some extent it's kind of what you want to do. But like when you just kind of just press record, played stuff, and then not really think about the mixing and like, maybe we can do something different with the drums here or whatever. Anyway,
sure. Yeah, no production.
It was a nice initial like process of recording, but not long after that we were like, fuck, you know, we need to like, can I swear? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. We were like, oh shit. But yeah, so we attempted a few other times, a few different engineers, and we finally, like I think last year, we got with Jon Figueroa over at...
Jon Figueroa did your record?
At
Modern Electric?
Yeah, at Modern.
Oh, well, that's a perfect fit, but I don't think I knew that. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, dude, and love Figueroa.
He's
great.
He needs to be on the show. I can't believe you beat him.
Oh really? He hasn't been on yet?
Nope, he's on the list, but yeah.
Well, maybe he'll come after me.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Now that you reminded me, he will. But,
yeah, and it just worked, and I think we finally like worked the songs enough to where like this is what we want to sound like both on stage and on the record. You know, like we ended up writing just a few other parts that just these little tweaks that are on the record that we do live now, and we tweak stuff that we do live that we did on the record. So
what's interesting to me about you is like knowing how your process works to an extent where you're just always like trying to figure the stuff out and working on it. It's interesting that you didn't well, I guess it makes sense too, like that you had to learn how to like make it sound like what you wanted to sound like in the recording. Yeah,
because there's like one thing about like technique and like playing the right notes, and there's one thing about like, you know, this take being EQ'd and like reverberated correctly, and then sonically, how is it sounding with the overdub on the left ear that you did? You know what I mean?
Right. Well,
like,
but even like, because I used to write songs and I'd be like, oh, this song's done. I just put it on paper. I came up with the chords and it's done. It's like, or you could work on it and make it better, which I didn't used to do.
I guess that's like my trap.
Okay.
You know, that's like the devil's advocate is the bane of my existence, because it's like, what if you did this instead? What if you did this instead?
Yeah.
What if you played louder here? What if you played quieter here? And I have to, it's kind of like when you're doing freelance for somebody, like you're doing graphic design or something, and you only give them like 3 alterations, you know? I forget, like revisions, that's it, you know? Like I have to give myself a set number of revisions, or else I will stay on the same guitar take and keep re-recording it when, like, you know, let's say I recorded like 100 takes of this one riff. The second one might have been the best, but I'm like, it could have been better. It could have been better.
Yeah.
It could have been better.
Did the other guys in the band help you like not do that?
Yeah. I mean, like I kind of partially tasked them with that. It's like, I kind of like divert, like, was that good? Was that the take? Okay, that was the take. We're moving on.
You trust them enough for that.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Oh yeah.
God, you'd be miserable if you didn't at least have that safety in place.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm starting to do like home recordings, and like I'm kind of just having to do that myself and just be like, you know what? It's just a demo. this is not like for a commercial release.
Well, but also, you know, it's that whole philosophical conversation, like, you know, how good is good? Like, how good does it need to be? Like, the emotion still needs to be in it. Like, that's one thing live that makes you so great, is the emotion's always in it to me. I mean, the whole band, not just you, but like, I've seen some of those songs many times, and it never feels like, oh, we played this 50 times, 100 times. It doesn't feel like that. It always feels like you're in the moment. So, yeah, I mean, I
guess the struggle with it too is like, how do you evoke that on a record? You know, because you can't see me playing, you know? And I guess that's like something I struggle with internally. It's like, yeah, it's loud and it's cool and I'm screaming, you know, but like, you're not seeing it, you're just hearing it.
Right.
You know, I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, as an audience member, like, you know, like the visual's cool, but I don't need it to love the music. Like I was saying, like when I was shooting that show, I wasn't like, you know, I'll shoot a few songs and I'll go do something else. Like at Grand Prairie, at the Epic, I'll go shoot the whole event. So I was not even looking at the stage on a lot of those moments where I was like, what the hell are they doing up there? Like it's going to another level again. Like I feel I don't want to keep going on about it. That show in particular, I just kept like going, what? Like they're taking that, like your harmonies were insane. All right, I'm gonna stop gushing.
Well, that stage cool. Just to like kind of like stand there for a second. Like stages, like venues, put you in a whole different mental realm of like how you're performing, and then like there's people there, and like I know this is probably an obvious thing, but playing on there was really cool, and just like being by the water, and like I don't know, I just felt like a fucking superhero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
so that adds to the performance.
Play the part, dude. You know, well, give the people what they want. Do that. Commit to the bit.
That's another thing, you know, that you guys do. Like I want to bring this up. That like, you know, there's a thin line of like what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, and what's not with you know, the rock out with your cock out. Like we're here to have fun. Like we're not, and I don't mean it in a like any kind of like weird way, just like we're here to have rock and roll. Like, you know, like if I had $1 million, I would smash the guitar for you because that's something you want to see, you know. Like I get that vibe from you guys. It's just I guess what I'm saying is agreeing with you is like the live show is so fun. And you built that up.
That's still something I want to do is burn a guitar. Like I have a few like cheap bodied like guitars that I'm planning on burning at some point.
I feel like you should make a reel and ask for donations for that specific reason.
Oh yeah,
you'd get some old dude that's like, you know what, fuck this guitar. Like, yeah, do it, man. I saw Nirvana do it once. I just talked about this on another podcast. I saw them play, and like the encore was smashing everything on stage, and
that's
like
so sick.
It was. You know what? It wasn't stupid. It was awesome. I don't care what anyone says.
Dude, well, speaking of Nirvana, sorry to trail off. I just recently in the last few months heard the story about what happened at Trees.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where like a security guard accidentally pulled his hair and he like hit him in the face with a guitar, and that's all on video.
Yeah,
just there's blood. I'm like,
yeah. Well, that guy, the security guard, I just saw an interview like a couple years ago where he talks about the whole thing.
Yeah,
his side of it. But Yeah. History.
Sorry. Anyway.
No, that's cool. There's not a lot of like iconic moments, but that's one of them.
Deep Ellum. We're here. I'm like, that's just down the street. Man.
Yeah, it's like right down the street. I've had the GM from Trees on, so yeah. Okay, let's see. So you've got these songs coming out.
Yeah.
You're happy with this recording.
Oh yeah.
And so like, what are you gonna do like to support it? To follow, like, what's your game plan with it?
So we recently signed on with some management, and we don't want to do what we did the first time, which is like we recorded it, great, put it out, whatever. Like, we in the last 5 years we've understood like there has to be some sort of process. I mean, like Columbia Records didn't turn into Columbia by just shitting out music. Like there's advertising, there's you had to push a single.
Sure.
There's a certain we don't want to get too into the formula, right? There's like this, you do this, and this. But for right now, we plan on releasing 3 singles. The first one should be, I said it earlier, Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I think we're going to do Morning.
Okay.
That's what we have right now.
Yeah, and I think that just came out, so we're going to play that in this episode, but probably not in this moment that it sounds like I'm leading up to it.
Yeah.
It's just a tease.
Playing it right now.
And we're not going to play it.
Yeah. Angel, she likes switchblade knives. She smokes 27s out a bedroom window in the middle of the night. And I loved her so, but I had to let her go, 'cause she was crazy. An angel, her gelato's cocaine. And 2 more shots of what you got'll help her ease the pain. And I loved her so, but I had to let her go, because maybe I'm no different than you. An angel, why'd you have to fight? And I don't know what goes on inside your head that makes you feel you're right. And I loved her so that I had to let it go, because maybe I'm no different than you. I've got nothing to prove. I've got nothing to lose. So I'll share one with you. no different than you. I'm no different than you. We really want to, again, just go about it in a way that's like intentional. And whether it's playing for like kind of like more touring acts and like making parties out of it where like it's a theme, it's like single release party, like single release this, whatever, like that sort of thing.
So yeah, so that's part of the plan, is try to like open for other bands. Are you like thinking of touring?
Well, right now we actually are touring with, we're going to be on a tour with this Scottish band called High Fade, which you should listen to them. They're this trio from Scotland, and just imagine us a little bit funkier, a little bit faster.
Huh.
That's them.
Okay.
And they're just cream of the crop.
Nice.
They're amazing.
Okay.
We're doing February 5th through the 8th. We're doing Oklahoma City, Dallas, over at Sundown Granada. We're doing Austin and Houston.
Okay. We'll have links to everything, so
Yeah.
like anything you don't remember, we can find it.
Yeah.
And then let's look at these questions that I haven't looked at all day. Let's talk about the sound. Like, so you came from like this classic rock background, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
What about the other guys? Where they coming from?
Essentially, yeah. Hazen, pretty similar. There was a lot of classic rock, and then there's a lot of like, you probably don't hear it in the music, but like I would say, me personally, what influences me is like a good portion of it's classic rock, a good portion of it's like jazz fusion, like that was sampled into like early 90s golden era hip hop, you know. Because some of the grooves we do, especially if we play like a 3 or 4 hour show, we got to fill a time. Like, hey, Cade will do like a Jay Dilla like glitch type, like drum patterns, like, you know. And I would say a lot of what influenced us is like Khruangbin and the Grateful Dead.
Oh, Khruangbin, interesting.
Yeah, like, because I just love that Thai funk influence, and just the way that Mark Spear plays guitar. And if Hazen and Kay were here, they would make fun of me because, like, you know, when I find a guitar player, like I obsess over their gear, and like I think they heard me say Mark Spear one day like 100 times in one day, and so like they'll just like be like, oh, Mark Spear.
When you started playing together, was there some sort of intention with the sound, or it just sort of came out the way it came out?
To answer it simply without like, you know, trailing off, that's what it was, because I didn't want to like, you know, put so much expectation on it. You know, whatever we sound like having fun is going to be the best, because like that's the energy that people, you know, vibrate to. Right. And so it was just kind of like fast paced rock and roll. There was really no intentionality.
Let me ask you. Let me go back about like at what point did you start writing songs, and like how did that come about?
Like me personally? Yeah. Okay. I started writing songs when I was 15. It's no one's asked me that in a long time, and I've not thought about it. So that's just, it's evoking memories. I started writing songs when I was 15, and it was just me and my guitar, and there was like an app for the iPhone where it was like a 4-track recorder, and I was writing songs for friends, like my lady friends that were like either cheated on or like their boyfriends were assholes, and like, you know, I that was like that's what I wrote songs. That's very sensitive. Looking back on it, it was just so. And then like it was either that or it was just like super. It's really embarrassing. Just like motivational songs.
Why is that fair? I mean, people need that.
About like feeling better about yourself, and like I can't even. My parents do this fucking thing where like they'll play it to guests. I remember when I was 15, 16, I wrote like a few songs and like recorded them. I put them down in MP3s, and like my mom found it because I was using her laptop, whatever, and she would like play it to people that came over, and it's just me in my garage in like a corner, so like the acoustics wouldn't bounce, and I'm like, you know. Yeah, I wrote a song called "Come On, Saban," which my friend Saban, her boyfriend broke up with her, and he was a piece of shit, and like I gave her the MP3 and she played it for like the entire school on the intercom, and like that, while it was very nice, was just, I did not want that.
Wow.
But that was like when I lived in Leander. But yeah, that was kind of like the origination of my songwriting. And then when I started getting into like Jimi Hendrix and like, just the blues guitar players, and then like the psychedelic stuff, like MGMT was a real big one for me. Like that's in like my top 5 favorite bands. Kind of like the structure of how they write songs and like the shit that they talk about, and it's more like cryptic, and like they're talking about something, but like they're talking about this adjacent to it, like that sort of thing. But
how did that like kind of change when you started writing with people, with Hazen?
When I realized that like there are drums and bass, and like, I don't know, I feel like when I write songs, like I don't really focus on the words. It's really the music first. And like, I want it to be like, when you're listening to it, I want you to be able to close your eyes and like be surprised by like what's happening next. Whether it stops, whether it's really quiet parts and then a loud part, like I'm really obsessed with like the experience sonically, like in your ears. 'Cause that also translates on stage. It's like, oh shit, like this isn't just like a 4-chord song, that with really good lyrics, So I guess like, yeah, it's music first, and then if the lyrics work for that, then yeah.
So the lyrics like are just kind of come to you, like
Yeah, like there's one song, Marvin, that we usually open the show with, because it's like a guitar riff, and then it's suddenly everyone comes in, and like I'm just a big Pulp Fiction fan, and I didn't feel like Marvin got enough screen time, and he dies too early, and I just love the scenario, like right in the back of your car, wondering where the hell we are. My mind's blown because he gets shot in the head. So yeah,
that's cool. Like if you can for a minute, I mean, you've lived in different places, but you haven't been in the music scene necessarily in different places. But like, talk about your experience, like entering the Dallas music scene situation, and then kind of like where you like see it now and how you fit into it.
The Dallas scene. You mentioned it earlier in the conversation. Our first show was an open mic at Deep Elm Art Company, and Hazen's dad Scott lived here for quite a bit before we even thought about it, and he's the one that like was like, hey, they do open mics every Monday at Arco, you should go. And
thank you, Scott, by the way.
Yeah, it's Daddy Scott. And that was kind of like our introduction, and I didn't think that I thought we were just gonna get on stage. Like it was just a fun thing, and I was excited to do, and like playing for people that songs that we wrote and like I helped write, and I didn't really care. And like I was kind of taken aback at like, John LaRue came up and he was like, hey, like, do you want to, like he was just like super excited about it. And I don't know, as far as like, yeah, then we started playing, I think we played Main at Southside with like Children of Indigo and a bunch of other people. And I don't know that we are part, like we're in and we're out of the Dallas scene, because like we kind of play everywhere, like
you really do. That's something hard to do for people that don't know, to get a crowd in more than one city in the DFW. It's tricky, and you kind of bounce around a lot.
Like I love Dallas, and especially Deep Elm. I think it's like one of the last few places that like there's some sort of scene, and I don't know, I think it's ever changing. I don't think it's ever one genre. I don't think it's ever one attitude or one kind of person. Like 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, I think it's vastly different than what it is now.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Especially with like COVID really shook up everything, and like kind of like how venues approach putting on music, and then like getting people to come out, like that sort of thing. I don't know. I like the Dallas scene. I think there's a lot of really great artists, really great bands that like I love. Like I'm really good friends with. Chemical Spell, like Braden, who sings for that band. And I don't know. I think if I could describe any band as a Dallas band, it'd probably be Chemical Spell. I love them so much because I don't know.
What is it?
Chemical Spell.
I don't think I've heard of them. I'm gonna check them out.
Listen to them. I think they have some songs out. They might not, but they're very. I don't want to describe them. I'm gonna butcher it, and like I don't want to do them justice. They're very good.
We'll check them out.
They're very lively.
Oh yeah, like we haven't even talked about the fact that you play with Remy Reilly. How does that come about, and how does that kind of like fit into your whole?
I'll give you the quick TLDR. We were playing a bunch. Zane King got with us and was like, "Hey, there's this young girl who needs a band. She's 17. Check it out."
Mm-hmm.
Hazen and I were really trepidatious about it, just because like him and I had done that before too. Like we played for like the 16-year-old girl who's playing it, and who the parents got her a gig at Six Flags, and like we'll do what we can for. But when we got with Remy, like she had the voice, still has the voice of like a professional singer, and it just worked. Yeah, she wrote really cool fucking songs.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we were doing Rihanna covers. You know what I mean? Like it was original, authentic stuff. That's cool. And like she still like writes very personal songs that just fucking work. So yeah, we started playing with her. We did a bunch of stuff in Plano, and now kind of, whenever we're out doing Midnight 30, it's Remy Reilly with Midnight 30.
Nice. Do you get a little bit of input on how the recordings go with her, or is she kind of just dictating, the producer dictating parts? So
yeah, we recorded 3 singles with her, and the way we did them, because she kind of just like I might butcher this, but the way she writes songs, she either does it on piano or does it on guitar, and then takes it to a producer or like us, and like we'll arrange it in the way that's comfortable for us, our style that like matches it. She just recorded like a demo recently of a really, really good song that I hope she releases. Like it's a demo, but it's ready to be on the radio. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, like the songs that we recorded in the studio is like she showed it to us, and like we started performing them live. And how you hear it on the record, like Yes Man and Half Price Books and the third one, I forget. That is how we play it live. And so, yeah, that's kind of just how it worked.
Cool. Yeah, that seems to be working out. And she's fantastic. And you guys really do add a lot to the live, and I'm assuming to the recordings, like now that we're talking about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was really fun. We did that with Jon Figueroa too.
Oh, cool. He was Modern. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Cool. So you got 3 songs. Like what's like your ideal future next few years for the band?
Making money, going on a tour, like people listening to it. We're trying to like rebirth our direction of how we like utilize the tools that are already there. Social media can be something fun, and could also be something that's super beneficial. And that's
you guys, by the way, make funny videos. You should do more of those. I know.
Which one are you talking about?
Not anyone in particular. Like I remember, it's been a minute, but like I remember there was a string of them, and every time I watched them, I'm like, these guys are fun. Like you could do just a comedy thing, like if you, or just as an auxiliary, gig. I'm just saying, you guys are very.
I think we were pushing it like a live single, and yeah, we were like, Cade was grilling at something that wasn't on anyway.
Yeah, no, it was.
I get you.
All around, like all 3 of you have good timing. It was just fun.
See, that's another thing too, is like learning what connects to people too, with those videos. When we first started on Instagram, I always loved like Adult Swim, and like the cards that play like before commercial, or we're going back into the show, it would just be text with like jazz playing underneath it. And for the first like year, maybe 2 years, that's how I would promote our shows. It would be like, Hans something, like very jazz elevator music, and I would just have like, are you going to Midnight 30 show or Mahogany show? That's going to be this date. And like, it'd be something cheesy. And I remember one time I posted a video, and like, it was at Keller Tavern. There's just bar and grill in Keller, and like 60 people showed up. We spent $5 to run the campaign, like for that video, so it would show up on everybody's feed in the area. And I was like, how do I know you? And we were like, well, we saw your ad and we came to the show. And I was like, for something I ripped off of Adult Swim. You know what I mean? It's like that sort of thing. I'm trying to get the magic on.
Yeah, I guess it works different for everybody too.
Yeah, I guess so.
And we didn't talk about how you were Mahogany. Like, tell us, the audience, why the name changed.
So we were Mahogany for the longest time because we were thinking of the name, and we were still in the cabin, and we were like, we need a name. We don't really care about the name. Let's do Rich Mahogany. You know,
like rich, like a name.
Yeah, like Rich Mahogany. It's like,
like
this is Rich Mahogany. You
know?
Okay. It's like Anchorman, like a line from that. It's like Rich Mahogany, and we looked up Rich Mahogany, and someone took it, and then we were like, okay, Mahogany, and then someone already took that, and so we just literally moved the letters around and changed letters.
God,
and we
it's
were
so annoying trying to tag you, by the way.
Dude. Mahogany, and then, you know, there was inner band discussions that were very dynamic in range. You know, certain members wanted to keep the name, and certain members really wanted to change the name. And this is a democracy, you know what I mean? So, you know, and we decided as a collective to change the name to something you could spell, and it's been working. I remember when we did change the name, you know, we had a lot of interaction because people could spell it. Yep. You know, and I didn't have to yell to the guy over the house music playing when we were done. It's M-A-H-A-G-O. No, it's M-A-H-A.
God, I didn't even think about that part of it.
It was the fucking worst.
Yeah. No, I like Midnight 30. It's a good name. Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
It's silly.
My wife, we all made lists of like different names we want to do. And like I invited my wife into the mix because she's like graphic designer and marketing, like she knows like what works, and we actually picked the name off of her list, so thank you, Michaela. Yeah, right. Cool. Hey John, thanks so much for sitting down with me. We will look for the releases. We're going to play one of those songs at the end here, and thanks for coming down. This was really cool. I've never done this before. This is fun. This is your first podcast? This is my first podcast. What? Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad I was the one that usher into it. Cool, excellent. Well, thanks again for doing it then. Absolutely. I'd like to thank my guest, Jon Figueroa. The song Morning by Midnight 30 we're about to hear. It's coming out on February 28th. You can check out that and the links in the show notes. We also heard Angel by Jon Figueroa in the episode. Thank you to the Deep Ellum Community Center for letting us record there. Theme song, The Place to Be by Electric Ants. You can catch the Dallas Famous podcast every Sunday at 1 o'clock on Deep Ellum Radio, and then Wednesday on all the podcast platforms. Please like, subscribe, enjoy, share, all the good things. We'll see you next time. Next to you. I think that I may have stayed too long at this party, but my body just wants to move. No, I did not stay too very long at this
I gotta be up in the morning.